Bistro with Keenu Hale for the art interview part 2. Now, Keenu, coming from your serious struggle and hardships at a young age to where you are now, how do you evaluate that and grow from that with your art and just in life in general, like knowing where you come from, the hardships and the struggle of the seizures and whatnot to where you are now? Do you feel like that is a handicap for you still, or no?
No, well, mostly I'm always aware of my past, first death attempts and death experiences, and I never really think about the hardships of the past because it only gets in the way and holds me back. And I always try to think of life at the fullest, live while you can, and I put that most of my work as best as I can.
Beautiful, beautiful. Now, with having such a wide portfolio of artwork from when you was young, from when you was very, very young, now, what would you say to all the young artists that may have similar issues or problems or hardships that that trouble them? What would you say to them?
Well, I guess just find one of the best things in life that makes you happy, and try to excel at that. Be around that. Do the best you can, either it's sports or just drawing or dancing, whatever have you.
Beautiful, beautiful, real beautiful. Now, with all the work that you've done, who is the most influential to you, and who inspires you the most? That when you're in the realm of brainstorming your creativity, with your, on point.
I used to watch a lot of Muppets back then, but mostly stuff like SpongeBob and Thomas, mostly because they
SpongeBob.
They always have a creative type of style to it, and I always like that. So back then I usually just tried to copy that, but mostly the teacher and mom said that I had to do my own thing.
You had to copy to find your own originality. I actually wrote that in a poem once, because I felt the same way. Because this is not about me, but this is a little thing of what creativity, when you're trying to find your own space. You have to look somewhere to understand how to what's the word I'm looking for? How to separate yourself. How to separate yourself. You gotta see where things are and where you stand and stuff like that. I feel that I know where that's coming from. It's coming from a realm of creativity, actually, and originality. I know what that's like. Lil, you had something to say?
Who is your biggest inspiration?
Where you begin, mostly a lot of people, but I think Tim Burton and Jim Henson are my top 2 inspirations because of their style. Mostly the story about Tim Burton, he used to work in Disney, but the people really didn't like his style because it wasn't really had that cutesy type of feel to it. It's kind of macabre and stuff, and later he was kind of fired.
I gotta do my own research because I don't even know who those people are, but it sounds pretty interesting.
Yes. Tim, you spoke on Tim Burton. So Tim Burton was fired from Disney.
Yeah, it's because Disney is a big corporation where they had to do mostly like the same thing with like the Disney style with all their movies, with with the princess and the animal sidekicks. And Tim Burton had a different light, and that was fine. But the people there didn't really want to have that, so they booed him. And and I can relate to how people find my work, because I kind of been in the same type of struggle when I did my work in high school. There are people who like my work, but there were some people who didn't, and I kind of got hardship for that.
I see.
How do you feel when people criticize any art? How do you take it? Do you take it constructive, or
Sometimes for a second I'd be like, why you hate it? But then I think for a second, then like maybe there's something that they don't like, because everyone has work that gives people a certain type of reaction. Either it's good or it's bad or it's just meh. So like I need to be real and know that there's not always going to be people who like my work, and that's fine. So like I had to be honest.
more open-minded?
Yeah, very confident, very confident. And the artwork speaks for itself. And you spoke, I want to touch on this when you spoke on about Tim Burton being fired and he being one of your biggest inspirations, because what it looks like to me is that Tim Burton seemed like he was at Disney, he was working there, obviously because he liked Disney or something like that. He recognized Disney as being a very artful place, and he felt as though his work would be accepted there. So I'm sure he copied or took from Disney like anybody else would that's looking up towards somebody that's he probably was influenced by Disney, but he had to take a step back and give himself that space to find his own originality. Like what you do, and when you're in your own realm of creativity, you find yourself.
Yeah.
You find yourself there. So I believe, I can see why, I can see the connection to you and Tim Burton. Yeah. Tim Burton is pretty cool too, you know what I'm saying? He did the Halloween.
Nightmare Before Christmas.
Anything else big Tim Burton does?
I have something. Didn't he do Edward Scissorhands?
Yeah.
Did you ever see Edward Scissorhands, Khalil?
Edward
So
Scissorhands
that's
is
Tim
a
Burton,
really
yeah.
good movie. That was one of my favorites actually.
I'm out here
It was
raising
really
my
weird
hand.
when he cut the waterbed. He had a little waterbed. He cut the waterbed. Yeah, that was one of the waterbed.
Yeah, fun fact, one of my characters, Cotton Stitch Crow, with her needle-like hands, it's kind of like an inspiration. Yeah, for Edward Scissorhands being one of my
And you can show
favorite
Cotton
Tim
on there, Keenu.
Nice.
One of
Nice.
those.
Oh, we actually have a few concept arts from Timmy and the Stitch Crows from Keenu Hale. He always come prepared. You people must understand this. Now, impact. Who is the most impactful artist? Do you feel like, who's the most impactful artist to you, should I say?
You mean the artist that gives me most inspiration?
What's the word I'm looking for? I'm sorry. My vocabulary escapes me right now. What I'm trying to say is the impact on art, on just art and overall. Is there any artists that you feel like are really impactful to the art world?
I guess there's this
Michelangelo, all of them. Do you know any other artists that's more impactful that we don't know about, or to you that's really impactful on the art game? I want to know your perspective.
I guess this one, Craig McCracken. You know him. He's creator of Foster's Home for Imaginary Friends and
I love that show.
Yeah, and the Powerpuff Girls.
Love that show.
Yeah. So I watched a lot of his stuff when I was younger, and I always liked the style. So I guess the simplicity of his style kind of rubbed off on me. but yet, even apart from his, my style is kind of like different, but still the same. So.
Yeah, I love that stuff. Love that stuff.
Now I have a question for you. If you ever do, would be able to have your own show on any network, which one would you choose?
Nice. Have a show on a network. Wow. I guess Cartoon Network. I always liked Cartoon Network. I watched it more than Nickelodeon and Disney Channel. So I guess Cartoon Network comes first.
That's
But can I
pretty
ask a
good choice.
question? I'm in the audience.
Yes, the audience have a question. Yes, audience.
Audience has.
Anybody got
Speak,
anything to
speak.
say?
Yes, please.
Now he said Cartoon Network
Yes, Cartoon
will
Network.
be his first.
Yes, first.
But what's your heart desire?
What is your heart desire? Like,
Because I heard
Cartoon-
him say something the other day, and it wasn't that.
ooh, how do you feel about that?
Yeah.
He wants his own. He said he want his
Oh.
own.
Well, yeah, my
So-
own TV.
So that's
show,
number
my
one.
own TV
Number two is Cartoon Network.
So you want your own network, your own channel, basically. That's really ambitious. That's big. Why not? Why not take it that far? Yeah.
I guess in these days it's kind of like hard to get a break, especially for the rookies. So like,
Yeah.
I'm just trying to think small right now. But I always still have the dreams behind me, in my head.
Always.
Yeah.
You have something to say?
I'm just saying, so basically you want to just do, black owned business. You always could do that as far as your stepping stone, and then
Yeah. Well, I still hear about, these people who used to work for Cartoon Network, but later on they, climbed the ladder into success. So hopefully I can follow the footsteps of those, artists. Yeah.
that's pretty good.
Yes. Now, with the caliber, with the caliber of art that you in and the animation scene and the cartoonist approach, with the animations, do you feel as though comic books are obsolete now, or do you feel like animation is, just taking over? Do you feel like comic books should still have life and have light upon artistry, or do you think animation would just take over?
Well, animation has, hit a different level during the years. It's definitely not stopping, but I think like comic books will always be with us because mostly with most animation movies and series you see today, they all come from comic books or illustrations.
I was getting, that point is really major.
Yeah, that's where they get their originality from. So it's with DreamWorks. Half of their movies are from, ideas of illustrations and comic books. Especially today, is playing like Captain Underpants.
I love that. I still have Captain Underpants comic books in the closet.
Yeah, so mostly comic books aren't done. Illustrations aren't done. Like you're only growing.
You have a book out called Life in the Suburb with Timmy and the Stitch Crows. And that's in itself a comic book. You know what I mean? And you have a series of Timmy and the Stitch Crows, or is still Life in the Suburbs series? How is the series going?
Yeah, I made a pitch with all the ideas I have for future episodes. So the descriptions are there. So it's really not stopping in my head. And the concepts I have here are mostly concepts I've drawn, for a prequel before Timmy and his family went to the suburbs. So, mostly to describe how life was, back at the farm he used to live in.
Okay. Talking on Timmy and the Stitch Crows and the concept arts for the prelude, if you were to start the series on animation, would you want to start the prelude, or would you want to go straight into the series, the story?
I think the prequel, because mostly when I made the first story, I didn't know it was gonna go anywhere. I was just thinking out of my head when I made the first one. So